It's Tuesday, the 13th of July 2021. Welcome to the Fear and Greed Business Headlines, the business news you need in just 5 minutes. I'm Sean Aylmer. In today's headlines, the number of deals across the ASX surges with 2 more yesterday. But are they good value for shareholders? Plus, the local share market jumps as the big miners benefit from new rules in China. New South Wales records the worst day in more than a year for community-transmitted cases of COVID-19 as federal and state governments scramble to set up relief packages. And CEO bonuses take their biggest hit ever. Our lead story today, there were 2 major deals announced on the share market yesterday, one being Wesfarmers buying drug group Australian Pharmaceutical Industries, and the other being Chalice Mining splitting off its gold exploration business, adding to the huge number of deals taking place on the ASX at the moment. In the past fortnight, a group of infrastructure investors offered $22 billion for Sydney Airport. Seven Group upped its stake in Boral Group to at least 40%, giving it effective control. Tabcorp opted to demerge its lotteries and Keno businesses, and AGL confirmed it would split into 2. There's been other corporate action involving Telstra, Ramsay Health, Premier Investments and Myer, Westpac, Challenger Limited, Crown Resorts and the Star Group, and that's just the past fortnight. During the June quarter, the value of deals involving Australian corporates reached $99 billion, the best since 2006. There's pent-up demand among corporates with excessive amounts of capital available, particularly to those who raised money last year but didn't need it. There's also a horizon of low interest rates. The question is whether the money is being well spent. Immediately after the last spending frenzy in 2006, the global financial crisis hit. It's different this time, but when there's such a frenzy, some companies will pay over the odds. Not all of these deals will provide adequate returns to shareholders. In overseas news, earnings season on Wall Street is about to kick off, and big US companies are tipped to post profit more than 60% higher than a year ago for the 3 months to the end of June. If correct, that would make it the biggest quarterly rise since 2009. Wall Street is already trading near record levels, so any disappointments could trigger sharp falls in indices. And lightning strikes have killed at least 38 people across 2 Indian states in the past 24 hours. Most were in the western state of Rajasthan, with many of them farm labourers working in fields. Lightning strikes are common during the Indian monsoon season, which runs from June to September, but it is unusual for so many deaths to occur. Locally, the share market jumped 0.8% yesterday to finish at 7,334 points, helped by a surge in the mining stocks. Over the weekend, China's central bank said it would reduce the amount of cash most banks had to hold in reserve. In effect, that puts about $200 billion back into the Chinese economy. And the massive factories across the country will start pumping out goods as a result. That pushed up the miners, with BHP, Fortescue and Rio Tinto all closing higher. New South Wales recorded 112 community-transmitted cases of COVID-19 in the 24 hours to 8 p.m. Sunday, and Victoria too, as the federal and state governments scrambled to provide relief. A longer lockdown is now almost assured in Sydney, as 34 of the cases announced yesterday were in the community while they were infectious. Mass vaccination clinics will now be established to give the AstraZeneca vaccines to anyone aged 40 or older. The federal and New South Wales governments will co-fund increased cash flow payments for businesses on the condition they don't shed employees, according to media reports, and the National Disaster Payment Scheme is set to be boosted. Meanwhile, the head of Wesfarmers, which owns Bunnings, Officeworks, Kmart and Target, has rejected calls to close non-essential retailers, saying current restrictions were enough. One of the biggest points of contention during the recent wave of infections has been which stores should close. Currently, the rules in Greater Sydney say people can buy but not browse, something I've never found possible in any store, particularly Bunnings. Wesfarmers Chief Executive Rob Scott said customers were overwhelmingly doing the right thing and the businesses were being managed in a COVID-safe way. Bonus payments made to the top 100 company CEOs took their biggest hit on record during 2020, with almost 1/3 receiving nothing at all. CEO cash pay fell 26% to $2 million, according to a survey by the Australian Council of Superannuation Investors. None of the bosses of Woolworths, Qantas, Sydney Airport, AMP or Mirvac received a bonus last year. The highest paid exec was CSL's Paul Perot, who took home realised pay of $43 million. And I get more phone calls from scam artists than I do my mother, and I'm not joking. Mostly, they're supposed to be from government departments, and despite their dire warnings, I'm not in jail yet. Apparently, it's not just me. The competition watchdog said almost 6,500 Australians have reported phone calls from scammers trying to convince them to download software that allows access to home computers and their bank accounts. That's almost double a year ago, and so far this year, scammers have stolen at least $7.2 million, and that's just the official number. That's the Fear and Greed business headlines for today. Make sure you hit follow so you get it every morning. And if you'd like more detail and more stories, search for our longer daily podcast called Fear and Greed. We also release a daily interview. Today we're talking to the founder of an Australian company that sold recently for $560 million. I'll be back later with the afternoon market report. I'm Sean Aylmer. Have a great day.